I was in solitary confinement when my captors offered to release me. Our code said we could only go home in the order of our capture, and there were men who had been shot down long before me. I thought about it, though. I wasn't in great shape, and I missed everything about America, but I turned it down. I fell in love with my country when I was a prisoner in someone else's. I loved it, not just for the many comforts of life here. I loved it for its decency, for its faith, and the wisdom, justice, and goodness of its people. I loved it because it was not just a place, but an idea, a cause worth fighting for. I was never the same again. I wasn't my own man anymore. I was my country's.
That was Senator John McCain back in 2008 when he was accepting the Republican nomination for president. Yesterday, President Trump signed into a law that it was a military funding bill that was named in honor of John McCain. But it was too much for the president. He couldn't mention the senator a single time. In fact, hours later, Donald Trump mocked the ailing senator for his vote on health care. And, you know, Willie, it may have only been a couple of elections ago, but the Republican Party, I mean, it might as well have been a century ago when you look at that sort of man who not only talked about putting country first, but did put his entire life on the line for his country and, I mean, duty, honor, country, deciding to stay in Hanoi, being imprisoned when he was beaten so bad he couldn't even lift his arms over his shoulders. And you have Donald Trump, of course, as we all know, someone who got 5 deferments, 4 of them for bone spurs and graduated from college the day that 40 Americans were killed in Vietnam. There's just, it's unspeakable. That yesterday, the guy couldn't even mention John McCain's name. And the only thing I can figure out is that McCain's name is just a reminder of what he is not every day of his life.
Well, we shouldn't be surprised in the way that Donald Trump talks or doesn't talk about John McCain, but it doesn't make it any less disappointing to see the President of the United States going out of his way, bending over backwards, not to mention the name of a bill that carries John McCain's name for a very specific reason. And you'd like to think, even if you have disagreements with John McCain or you resent the fact that he didn't vote to repeal the Affordable Care Act, that you'd have the class for an American icon, an American hero in his dying days, quite frankly, to at least pay tribute in this moment. But the president couldn't do that either. Good morning. It is Tuesday, August 14th. With us, we have contributor to Time Magazine, MSNBC political analyst, and former aide to the George W. Bush White House and State Department's Elise Jordan, political writer for the New York Times, and MSNBC political analyst Nicholas Confessori, NBC News national political reporter Heidi Przybyla, and MSNBC political analyst and the former chairman of the Republican National Committee, Michael Steele. Joe, should we get right into it here?
Well, I'd love to talk to Michael really quickly as former chairman of the Republican Party. Michael, it's mind-blowing to see John McCain in 2008 and hear all those people cheering John McCain in 2008. And then 8 years later, you have a president who actually attacks him, uses him as a punchline, and a Republican Party that blindly goes along with such a man who lacks character to such a degree that he mocks an American hero.
Yeah, that for me, Joe, is probably the most disappointing part of all of this. We figured out that it didn't take a rocket scientist to do it for us, that John McCain is someone that Donald Trump does not value. He does not value his service. He does not value his leadership in the Senate. He doesn't value the things that John McCain, whether you disagree with him or agree with him over policy, represents about what we expect of our leaders. The most disappointing part for me, though, is everybody else in the GOP that allows this to fester and to continue, who don't speak out and say, while we may have this disagreement with McCain over policy or philosophy, we value him, we value his service, because he represents the best of us at times when we need to be our best. And I think that that's something, it's just disappointing as a former head of the party, as you noted, to go back 8 years and see where the party was then, rallying around this man, nominating him to be our standard bearer, and today, virtual silence as the current president, continues to mock him. His illness notwithstanding, even if John McCain was not as ill as he is, the fact that this president does not value his service, to me, is just despicable.
Willie, it is despicable and complete silence. Silence in the face of mocking and just loathing this great American hero. Silence in the face of one racist attack after another coming from the White House, and silence in the face of a complete capitulation to an ex-KGB spy. This Republican Party, these Republican leaders will have much to answer for when Donald Trump leaves the national stage, and he will.
Yeah, as common as moments like yesterday from the president have become, sadly, as common as well has been the silence from some of those Republicans.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.